start the recording, and I will hand it over to Ian and Yang.
Right. Just share screens. My screen coming through okay?
Looks beautiful.
Great. And the kitten will calm down in a moment. He's only young and a Burmese and quite insistent. So look, thanks everybody for the opportunity to present. Do appreciate the flexibility in moving your usual time to accommodate us here in Sydney. I'll do a brief walkthrough and then I'll introduce our technology lead, young Lee. I expect it'll be just under 30 minutes, and then really look forward to your questions and comments. Thanks to Glenn and to Caitlin for organising this. Systemik has been around as an IT consulting group for around 30 years, and over the last 4 years, we've morphed into a digital humanities lab. So we develop and support a range of open source DH platforms, and we specialise in immersive and engaging research experiences. We work across platforms and websites and integrations. We've developed platforms spanning AI text analysis, corpus linguistics, philology, mapping, and of course, image annotation. So this is what we're here to present today, and what I'll step through in the next 15 minutes is a digital framework for scholarly annotation that we call Glycerine. So our design brief was to build a platform to meet contemporary expectations for a delightful user experience. That with just a little familiarisation, any researcher, regardless of their technical skill, can be productive with minimal support. I'll focus on strategy, features, workflows and outcomes, and Young will drill into the platform architecture and integration. So the name Glycerine is just a dumb joke of mine. Our internal project name for the platform was Image Annotation Workbench, or IIIF, as it produces non-traditional research outputs, which in an Australian accent is pronounced nitros. The opportunity to team Glycerine with nitro was just a bit too good to resist. So anyway, that was where the name came from. Always good to frame any initiative in terms of its value proposition. So we see three facets. We built Glycerine for its research affordances, for its application and the curation of images in the GLAM sector, and for its pedagogic potential. Now, there's faint hope of covering even one of these in any detail over the next few minutes, so I'll limit my remarks today to a brief outline of a research case study. This is the only bit of blatted text I'm going to subject you to. But on screen is an abstraction of the business case we put together for funding by the Australian Research Data Commons. And ARDC is the principal funder of digital infrastructure for research in Australia. And the business case we put together was that obviously Glycerine is a workbench for annotation and publishing of IIIF images, that the adoption of IIIF in cultural institutions presents an opportunity for seamless collaboration on the annotation of images. But a limiting factor is the threshold of development required to implement a scholarly annotation system. So that's the problem. Glycerine provides a suite of annotation tools and end-to-end workflows for researchers, curators and students to collaborate on projects across repositories. Sets of annotations can combine semantic tags from domain-specific vocabularies with critical analysis in multiple languages. Annotated images can be published as research outputs in immersive and engaging visualizations, and then be archived in sustainable formats. So the platform provides an open source viewer, a public API, and our ambition is that it's a comprehensive framework for institutional integration. So we did a prototype platform in 2022 to support some funded Australian and North American research projects. With generous funding through 2023, we've been able to develop the platform as part of the ARDC Program of Funding of Humanities Research. And I think it's important to acknowledge ARDC because their contribution wasn't just financial. Their input with regard to long-term sustainability has really been most valuable, and it's made it a better platform for it. Through 2022 and 2023, we ran pilot projects with the University of Sydney and international collaborators using image annotation to explore cultural history, to explore art history, and as an epigraphic practice. We also trialled its educational potential with undergraduate art history students. So what I'll do is I'll work through the Gandhara and Buddha's case study, and hopefully that'll draw out some of the research affordances. So the project was a partnership with the Met in New York, the National Gallery of
Oh, we lost Ian. Is anyone else frozen? Oh, it just broke up for a minute.
Oh, okay. Is it okay?
You know what, Ian, go back to the start where you said this was a pilot project with the Met in New York, and I think we'll be good.
Great, okay. So the project was a partnership with the Met in New York, the National Gallery of Australia, the New South Wales Art Gallery, the Power Institute at University of Sydney, and the Peshawar Museum in Pakistan. And the objective was to trial the platform on Gandharan statues, reliquaries, and friezes. And the outcomes were featured in a scholarly art journal. The project is now being expanded as Image Gandhara, and with collaborating institutions in Australia, Pakistan, Europe, and North America, pulling together a range of related initiatives around the digital imaging of artefacts, the development of vocabularies, and image annotation as a scholarly and curatorial practice. So during the Gandhara and Buddha's project, the core practices that we engaged in, and you'll get a glance at all of these shortly, was firstly outlining, labelling, detailed notes, scholarly footnotes, the development of vocabularies, the semantic tagging of components of an image, analysis of the annotations data, and the publication of non-traditional research outputs. And we found the collaboration to be really, really productive, bringing together specialist researchers, curatorial expertise with digital methods and design. So the objectives of the pilot was to really open out new avenues for cross-disciplinary research between art historians and epigraphists, inscription specialists. Another objective was to make these cultural assets accessible to general scholars, students, and the public, not just specialist scholars. A third objective, which is a whole topic in itself, is the notion of digital repatriation of these artefacts, but that's a whole other presentation. An aspirational objective for Image Gandhara is to open up the annotation practice to other voices in Pakistan outside of scholarly cohorts. So what I'll do is I'll just spend a few moments to walk through the published outcome. One can click intuitively around the image for annotations of each of the components and then drill down to the elite scholarship. So this is one of the pieces we did. This is from the Met in New York. It's a very important piece and has been studied by multiple scholars over the years. So you'll see that if I click here, I can see that this part of the image is a standing bodhisattva. There's a description. There are tags from a specialist vocabulary. And then there are scholarly notes from the 6 different scholars who've studied this over the years. If I click on this part here, the grammatical chord, it's got tags and notes on it as well. So I can click around there and look at all the annotations and engage with it as a non-specialist, as a member of the general public, or drill down into the specialist scholarship. If I look at the settings over here, you can see that at the moment I'm looking at all annotations. Young will demonstrate this in a moment, but if there were multiple collaborators, I could switch between mine and a colleague's annotations. I can look at the annotations in English or in Italian, and you can set up as many languages as you like. If I switch to Italian, of course, when I click on the grammatical chord, it's in Italian. By default, there is a kind of containment hierarchy, so I can look at the outer ring of outlines. The semantic on that is really left to the implementer, or if I do the light ones, I get the smaller display stuff. You can turn the image off, and this just said we did this because it was cool, but there's actually an implementation use case where a project doesn't have the rights to actually display the images, so they're just displaying the outlines. There's an information panel that Young will walk through, and of course you can switch between an image view and a table view. So by switching backwards and forwards, I can see all of the cutouts and all of the information that's been added against each of those annotations. So plenty of chances for Young to drill into that in a moment. Okay. There was one other thing I wanted to demonstrate on this display, and that is I might just jump across here to a peer-reviewed article that was produced, and this is from our digital journal of Gandharan Studies. There's some scholarly information about the provenance and significance of this piece and some of the issues in contemporary scholarship about it, and then of course the annotated images produced in situ and keywords and scholarly referencing. So that's a peer-reviewed output from the project. So the research outputs from the project, as I said, was the annotated images as a non-traditional research output, peer-reviewed journal articles, both conventional and digital. We can also produce, as you saw from that table, the annotations as searchable data. Also, the annotations data is being used as a training set for artificial intelligence. What I'll do now is just do a very brief overview of the service architecture and the strategy. So apologies if this is a bit glib, it's not a technical diagram, but what we're doing is running Glycerine on an ARDC server. So that's Australian research infrastructure. We're also running an instance of on AWS for everybody else. So there's two versions of Glycerine running, one for Australian researchers and one for international. Images can be hosted on the server as a workspace or a sandpit, or images can be accessed from institutional servers. The research outcomes can be configured for institutional, project or publication branding or standards. The service pattern is an exemplar of a digital service pattern that emphasises modularity, reusability, and multiple access methods. So we have the components are the IIIF image server, what we call the Glycerine server, which provides an API to all of the Glycerine services. Then there's the Glycerine application itself, the UI. Then there's a Glycerine viewer, which is an open source, and that's provided for project and institutional customization and integration. And it's probably worth emphasising that researchers can interact with Glycerine either through the application, through the UI, or through the API. All functions are available through the API. And foundational to support by ARDC was that we have a comprehensive sustainability strategy. And the key components of that are that we're compliant with IIIF and web annotation standards, that we can export from Glycerine all of the data encapsulated in a IIIF manifest, that we have persistent IDs, and that we have a image archive strategy for long-term sustainability and reproducibility of the research outputs. So what I'll do now is just a very brief walkthrough of some of the foundational workflows. And what you see on screen is that I have a collection selected. I've got the image at Gandara collection selected, and I could go into any one of the 4 image sets that you see on screen and start working on the annotations. And so the foundational workflows are to create a new research collection, to add images to that collection, either manually or by searching existing repositories. Then starting annotation, I can outline components and annotate them with tags or notes or links. Then there's a collaboration workflow for me to share collections and collaborate with colleagues. And then there's a publishing workflow to share the annotated image as a research output. And so if I just breeze through those screens, you can see I can add a new collection from here. I can add a new image set to a collection with options to upload or link. I can then start annotating the image with the annotation tools. I can then tag the annotation with a vocabulary term or terms. I can then share the collection with a colleague and publish the annotated image. I did mention before that all of the features of the platform are also available from the API. So we've got some sample Jupyter notebooks that call the Glycerine API. In the one displayed, we're using the API to return the annotations that match a particular criterion for a particular collection and displaying each of the cutouts and the annotations data. So I'll summarize now. The platform value proposition is that it's standards-based, has wide research application across a range of disciplines, requires a low skill threshold, supports research collaboration and contestation, integrates with vocabulary platforms. We have an exemplar integration with Research Vocabularies Australia. It integrates with repositories. We have an exemplar integration with an institutional search API. It generates non-traditional research outputs to support elite scholarship. It supports multiple voices and selective disclosure, and it has a comprehensive persistent ID and archiving strategy. So if you've not already found it, Glycerine is on glycerine.io, and on the home page is the Buddha triad I was just demonstrating, as well as all the access to register and use the platform. And of course, there are links on the site to both the user and the developer documentation. So what I'll do now is I'll hand over now to Young Lee to do a walkthrough of the platform and some of the architectural features. Thanks, Young.
Thanks, Ian, and hello, everyone. My name is Young Lee. I've been working with Ian at Systemik for almost 15 years now. Just give me a second. I'll set up my screen and also I will share my screen with you guys. So can everyone see my screen now? Okay.
That's fine, Young.
Yep, good. So first of all, I'm excited to give you a quick run through of the Glycerine platform and also demonstrate the common workflows of annotating images in Glycerine. So this is the home screen of the platform. On the left-hand side, you can see a list of collections from my account. Each collection in Glycerine works as an independent workspace. I will get it started by creating a new collection. To create a collection, simply provide a title and description. I just put in the title and description. Now the new collection has been created. A collection is a workspace can contain several image sets. I will add an image set in this collection now. So for this demo, I have a number of images about Sydney Harbour Bridge. First, I'm going to give the image set a title and description. In order to add images to this image set, we have a couple of options. So the first option is that we can upload images from local file system. This will upload the image to Glycerine image server and make it a IIIF image. So we can choose the image from the file system and just type in the title and description. Now the image has been added to the image set. Another method of adding an image to an image set is to provide the URL of the image from internet. Again, this will just make the upload the image for our image server and make the image IIIF. So I have prepared the image URL. I'll just paste in the URL and provide a title and description as well. We can also add existing IIIF images from external source into the platform. In this case, the IIIF image will stay where it is and be referenced through its IIIF URL. I also have prepared a IIIF image for this demo. Then I can just paste in the base URL of the IIIF image. Also the title and description. To finish off the image set creation, I can put in the information about the attribution. I can also specify the languages can be used to annotate images from this image set. By default, it only allows annotations in English. I can add more language options if there's a need to create annotations in other languages. I'll check Chinese in this example. Now we have all the information filled in for the image set, and we can create the image set now. Now the image set has been created. We can then start annotating the image set. Before doing that, we need to create an image annotation set first. So annotation sets serve as containers for annotations. People can use annotation sets to group annotations from different categories or revisions. For a simple image set, it can contain multiple annotation sets, either created by the image set owner or contributors who have the access of this collection. Now I will create a new annotation set. So just put in a name for the annotation set. We can also choose the default vocabulary, which can be used to tag annotations. Glycerine has the integration with Research Vocabularies Australia, which provides the capability of tagging annotations with controlled vocabularies. So from here, we can see a list of vocabularies from Research Vocabulary Australia. I will quickly pick one vocabulary, which can be used for this demo. Now the annotation set has been created, and I can start creating annotations in this annotation set. So that's the annotation tool. So I can navigate to different images from the image set. I can use the annotation tools to create different shapes, such as the circle and polygons on the images. I'll quickly create a polygon. So for the annotation, I can firstly provide the title and description. I can also insert one or more related links for this annotation. In the second tab, we can see a list of terms from the default vocabulary we specified earlier. We can select terms used for tagging from this vocabulary. I'll quickly pick a number of terms. Or we can select terms from other vocabularies other than the default one. I'll switch to another vocabulary. In the third tab, we can add any other types of information in this note area, such as references and comments. We can also specify the attribution and date information for the annotation. At last, we can specify the outline color for the annotation. Currently, there are 3 types of line colors, light, medium, and dark. I'll choose light in this example. If we go back to the About tab, I can choose to use another language, which I specified earlier. I can then fill out the annotation information in a different language. Now I just click create. Now I have added annotation to my annotation set. I can publish my annotation set to make it public. If I go back and click publish. So the owner of the image set can publish the whole image set. Once the image set is published, any unpublished annotation sets from that image set will stay private. So now I will publish the whole image set. Now my image set has been published. I can then view the public URLs of the published image set. In this dialog, we can see the public URL, embed code, also the URL of the IIIF manifest. So Glycerine uses persistent URLs from W3ID for these public URLs. We are now seeing the published image set. We can use the thumbnails to navigate through the images. In the top left corner, there are some general information about the image set and the current image. So in the About panel, we can view the full details about the image set and the image we are currently viewing. If we click on annotation, we can see all details of the annotation. So when click on tags, we can see the hierarchical structure of the tag within its vocabulary, also the description of the tag. And we can also switch the language to see annotation details in another language. I'll close that now. If we open the settings panel, we can apply filters to the displayed annotation. We can filter the annotations by annotation set, by language, and by line color. Ian demos this before, but we can also click the table view button to view list of annotations in a format, in a table format. Each annotation will display the cropped image of the annotated area as well. Let me sorry, let me adjust my screen. Okay. So next, let me talk something about collaboration. So as the collection owner, I can also give the access of this collection to other users. So users who have the access can also create their own image sets or annotate other people's image sets in this collection. People can also import external IIIF manifests into the platform and annotate the images from these manifests. Here I prepared a manifest. I will just import it into the platform. You can see now the manifest has been imported, and there's a new image set with a number of images created from the manifest. Users can perform full text search on annotations and can also search annotations by tags. For example, I want to search all annotations mentioning bridge. Then I can get a list of annotations about the keyword bridge. So that's the end of the Glycerine platform demo. So from the Glycerine website, glycerine.io, you can find all related documentations. So we have the user guide for how to use the platform. We also have a number of developers documentation. So first of all, we have the API documentation, which can be used for external integrations with Glycerine. So all tasks performed from the UI can also be performed through the API. So you can do things such as uploading images or searching annotation by using the API. So we have a few example Jupyter notebooks, which demonstrate the usage of the Glycerine API. So next, I want to show you the open source Glycerine viewer, which is used for displaying published image set from the Glycerine platform, as we saw earlier. Glycerine viewer is a IIIF viewer, which can be integrated into other platforms, which has the requirement of displaying IIIF manifests. It is built with Vue 3, OpenSeaDragon, and the plugin called Annotations. We have a demo site which has several examples of how to use the viewer in your own projects. And the source code of the demo site is also available through GitHub. So thank you. That is everything for the demo. Now we'll hand it back to Ian.
So look, I think that's more than enough to deluge you with. Why don't we just open the floor to questions and comments, please? So
Any questions? Sometimes we just need to sit in silence for a few minutes. And then if anyone doesn't want to turn on their microphone and you want to type it in the chat, I am more than willing to read it out loud for you.
Okay, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay, I have a question about how tied your system is to the AWS platform or like cloud. Sorry, it's late in the day. Cloud platform. Is it possible to have a Glycerine, I guess, set up on, for example, like an academic cloud platform here in Canada?
that's certainly something we're open to a discussion. At the moment, we're only supporting it on AWS for international, but certainly open to that discussion. We work with, I'm trying to think of the guy's name at the moment. Ray Siemens in Canada is one of the doyens of digital humanities in Canada, and be certainly open to a conversation about having Glycerine running on Canadian research infrastructure. Certainly open
Cool.
to that. Yeah.
I'll ask my boss if he knows Ray Simmons.
Yeah, it's Siemens, Siemens. He's at Victoria University, and he's
probably
one of
doesn't know.
yeah, he's one of the wise old owls of DH. That bloke. Yeah. Rashmi.
Yep. So I'm curious how easy or difficult this would be to extend to annotating AV.
Good question. We've done some initial research on it. We're working with the Australian Film and Sound Archive. It's not it's not going to happen in the next 2 months, but it's on our ticket. It's definitely on our ticket. Yeah. And the funding will come through the Australian National Film and Sound Archive. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, I wouldn't not within 3 months. Yeah.
Right. No, of course. But it's really heartening to hear that's on your pipeline. So
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question around the creation of the annotations from the editor. Are they stored within a manifest, or is there an option to control where the annotations are stored when you go through the kind of creation process?
Maybe Young, do you want to respond to this one?
Yeah, if I understand this correct, so first of all, once you create the annotations, you can export the IIIF manifest based on those annotations, plus the image set and all the images from that. So question about customizing the output, or you can select, you know, the annotations you want to be available in the manifest. Is that right, John?
Yeah, so where the annotations are referenced from, are you embedding those into the manifest themselves when the editor is being?
Yeah, now I get it. They are actually all embedded annotations. They're just textual bodies, used as textual bodies in the manifest. I might just quickly show us the example manifest, then we can. Yeah. Oh, just give me a second.
Would it be possible to customize where the annotation is stored if you wanted to like scale that to a large amount or render a large amount of annotations, for example?
So if I just open the public URL and then open the manifest. Let's show the raw data. Okay, so that's the annotation we just created from the demo. So you can see it's an annotation on the first canvas, and the body a list of textual body resources in this case. So because we in Glycerine there are a concept called field. So we break a single piece of annotation into different types of field. So from the manifest you can see the body is a composition of different field data. So each field data would have a label such as a title, description, link, and also the tab we just applied.
Right. Would you be thinking about ways to separate that out as a way to scale this instead of embedding it in the manifest? Is that something like you'd be interested to support?
Certainly interested in the use case. Yeah.
Yeah, but currently it's just embedded.
Yeah. What's maybe a bit more on the use case, John? I'm not sure I quite get it, what the use case is. Yeah.
So if it, like in our case, if we OCR'd like a newspaper like per line, you know, you're looking at maybe 10,000 annotations for, you know, a particular piece added into a single manifest. This wouldn't scale for deployment for us. So it's kind of very important for us to be able to separate those concerns between storing annotations and the manifest referencing the annotations to an external server and supporting search to that external server and so on, for sort of a scalable infrastructure. If it's kind of localized edit and localized projects, scaling that in a manifest is fine. So it's kind of, I guess, your use case for that, it depends on that.
Conceptually, it's we're storing. Maybe Young can speak a bit more to the way we're storing, holding the annotations, and we do an export and transform the stored annotations in Glycerine into in the manifest. So exporting them into another format is certainly feasible. I guess we just want to drill into whether what the real use cases were and whether it was on our agenda really. Yeah, maybe it's something we can follow up with you, John.
Yeah, I mean, ours is a specific use case. So yeah, I mean, just because we have like data at scale, so like the tool's really like comprehensive and looks really like user friendly, and it'd be great to be able to customize just the storage aspect of where the data goes, basically. Okay.
Well, the short answer is yes. And that probably leads into something like we haven't talked about yet is how it's the arrangements around the platform. We're providing it as a freemium platform, and we're a consulting company. So if there's a requirement for that sort of stuff, we'd be delighted to help out with some integration work or work with you on that. Whatever, if there's some project funding to help out with that, that would be great. Yeah. But perhaps if we can drill into a little bit more and we find that it's something that's there's a wider use case for it that we can leverage, then it might be something we'd invest in ourselves as well.
Yeah, I'd be happy to chat like offline or more, further about that. We have other use cases around editing and reviewing edit as well for the public to be able to annotate. There's a whole kind of I can see a lot of use cases for the work you've done, like tying it in with some of the things that we've done. So yeah, I'd be happy to talk further about that.
Let's do that. This is the whole purpose of why we're in soft release at the moment, not even in formal release. So this is really what we're out here doing, showing you what use cases we've worked up through our own experience, and then starting to expose what the new ones, what other ones there might be. Brittany, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, can you guys expand on the persistent identifiers that are being used in your system? I know for us, and I saw a presentation with the Boston Public Library recently, they use ARCs for items in their collections. Then we have a whole persistent identifier kind of team here at CRKN who try to advance the use of ORCID and DOIs and research too. So you had persistent identifier in your slide, and I'm just interested to know more.
Yes, well, we're using W3ID. I can let Young maybe expand on that a little bit more.
Yeah, basically we use the W3ID kind of provide the persistent URLs for the publications from the platform. However, it doesn't work as other persistent IDs such as DOI or ARC, because you need the minter to provide the persistent ID from these services. So W3ID is a quite simple service. Basically, we'll just provide the redirection once you added your entry. So that means in a longer term, if the ownership of the platform or the domain name of the platform is changed, then you can just easily modify the W3ID entry to keep all the published links still available.
I don't want to confuse the issue, but maybe there's also another issue there about the research outputs from the platform. We do indeed use DOIs on anything that's peer reviewed in terms of a research output from the platform as well. Yeah.
Very cool. Thank you.
So any other thoughts or comments at this stage? Otherwise, we are getting close to the hour, and again, I'd like to thank Caitlin and Glenn for their indulgence in organising this, and thanks for all of you for your attention. Hopefully it was of interest to you, and really, you've got glycerine.io, so really what would be helpful to us is that if you would at least have a go at registering and trying it out. We are, as I said, we are in soft release, so any feedback at this stage about the efficacy of the registration process, the login process, how you go about getting started, you'll find on glycerine.io. And I don't want to go and show you. I'd rather you just go and do it yourself and tell us what problems you strike. But there is comprehensive user documentation. There's a getting started guide for the platform, and please just reach out to the contact details are there. So please just reach out to start having any of those more in-depth technical discussions, or any questions about use cases or anything. It's all available on the site. Yeah. So thanks very much.
Thank you, Ian. Like I said, we recorded this. I'll share this with the broader community on YouTube. And if you'd like, I send in newsletter out each month. This recording will be in it. If you'd like, we can ask people to try out the platform and give feedback there as well.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming at this different time, and hope to see many of you in Los Angeles, and then lots of you at the next community call, which will be in July. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Right. Thanks.